My name is Pamela Combinido, and I'm a leader with Humanitarian Advisory Group. Humanitarian Advisory Group is a social enterprise based in Australia, and we do a lot of research, evaluation, and technical support to a number of humanitarian organizations, donors, local NGOs, and we work closely with a number of consultants across different countries in Asia and the Pacific and Europe as well. I'm involved in the XCEPT work because I lead the review of the X-Border Local Research Network, where we try to understand what are some of the achievements, some of the challenges, and also the impact and future of the network. So it's really pulling together all of the amazing work that you've done in the past 6 years and understanding how the network has supported locally led research and evidence generation, and what other networks and other researchers can learn from the experience of the network. When we did the research and did the interviews and survey as well, we find that a lot of people struggle with drawing a straight line between the work of the X-Border Local Research Network and its contribution to policy and programming and decision making. But I think we are also seeing a lot of really good examples in terms of what the local research network brings to the policy conversations. For example, one of the biggest, most interesting piece for me is how the local research network really facilitates this access to research in really complex areas. We saw the breadth of work that you've done in different countries and borders, and how your approach to research really allows to capture the experiences of different people, such as traders, smugglers, government officials, etc. And that's really because of the network and the connections of local researchers themselves who understand the culture, the language, and has this trusting relationship with these people. And in terms of policy contribution, I can just cite one example. We're hearing from FCDO, for example, that some of the research insights from the network are really helping them understand some of the conflict issues in a different way, and at times also challenging their position on different issues. So I think it's important for us to continue tracking some of these impacts, and I know it's resource intensive, but there are so many, ways to do this, so that the researchers themselves also understand how their work are being used in these policy conversations, because these policy conversations tend to be out there, and not a lot of researchers would have access to those kind of conversations and groups as well. I think in our own research at HAG, where we look at some of the ways we can shift the power and really inspire more equitable partnership in research, there's a lot to learn from the experience of the X-Border Local Research Network. You've really developed a model and an approach to making sure that local researchers are leading and driving the research and research generation process, and understanding what are some sort of enablers to that, to create that condition to further enable local researchers to lead the research. I'm saying further because a number of the researchers who are part of the network have been doing this research for a long time, and having that conditions to further elevate their work and find the connections is really important. So that's the first learning. The second one is understanding impact. And I think a lot of researchers, not just the X-Border Local Research Network, struggle with understanding the so what. Like, we're doing this massive piece of work, but how are we contributing to practice? And I think the X-Border Local Research Network also has some good, promising examples of how you've done it, but also you could also learn from other researchers as well, how they're tracking and creating the conditions to make an impact. The third piece is maybe really just understanding how we shape the future of the network. And I think there's a biggest lesson here around how the network can be more intentional in asking the questions of, okay, where do we go from here? And I think the network has really showed us that these questions have been asked from the very beginning. But at the same time, there are so many priorities here. You're producing research, you're trying to influence policy and programming, and then you're thinking about impact. So those are impact and the future of the network. So those are big kind of things to think about, and I think being intentional about thinking about what's the next step is really important, and I think that's a really important lesson, not just for the network but also for researchers like me as well. In my work in this space, specifically supporting locally led and more equitable research and evaluation practices, I get asked a lot, like, what's the role of Global North organizations here if we shift the power to Global South organizations? And to that, I say that it's not about us versus them. It's really finding a way to complement the skills and pool resources together in order to shape the work together. So a lot of people, especially from the Global North organizations, feel like it's an opportunity that's being taken away from them, but actually from the Global South organizations, they're saying, no, we want to work together with you. We want to understand how we can complement our resources and skills and bring them together to create that collaborative space in research and also evaluation practice. So I think it's really important to have that first grounding that it's not about us versus them. It's really creating that collaborative space, because together I think there are so many more pathways where we could use research to really make an impact to those who are affected by crisis and conflict.